Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging hour discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome in. Good afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today, whether you're listening on the radio or you're listening live online at kdow.biz. You could do that. Or if you're tuning in via Facebook, social media, thanks for tuning in, and hope we can provide what we always do. The goal and objective has been for nearly 8 years is to provide you, the consumer, with education information so that you can make wise decisions in and around your real estate transactions in your real estate world. So we'll continue to do that. Just a couple of reminders before we get started today. Again, it's a live show, 3 to 4 Pacific Daylight Time, Monday through Friday. You could listen to live on the radio at KDOW 1220 AM, as I just talked about real quickly. Again, you could check in streaming live on Facebook. You could do that between 3 and 4. Watch us, chime in, interact if you like. Also, if you're anywhere else outside of the listening area and you want to just jump online, you go to kdow.biz and click on the button that says Listen Live, and then you'll be able to listen to the show at that time. Lastly, most importantly, make sure you download the podcast. That way, if you miss the show, if you can't watch it live, if you can't join us during this portion, just download the podcast. You could do that at iTunes by typing in Real Estate Radio Live. Just type that into iTunes, search, and then you could download the podcast. Or you could always go to our website, reradiolive.com, and you could download the podcast there. A couple different ways to reach us. One, if it's during the live portion of the show, 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220 if you want to get your calls on the air, if you have any questions on the live portion of the show. If you're listening to this via podcast, the best way to reach us is 408-838-9060. And, of course, you could always go to the website or email me for that contact. All right, a couple topics today. The first two segments, the topic I'm going to discuss and cover is alternatives and options to really an extremely competitive buyer's market. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're frustrated and you don't know what the heck's going on, you're throwing your arms up and you're just thinking, why am I doing this? I'm out every day looking for homes. I get pre-approved. My offers are not getting accepted. I'm getting outbid. It's just, I'm getting frustrated. If you're out there listening and you're in this market, you know what I'm talking about. It's an extremely tough market right now for the buyer because there's such low inventory and a huge demand and not a whole lot of new growth. So what that equates to is an extremely competitive marketplace and tough on the buyers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some options, some suggestions that I would really talk about, some suggestions that I would come up with and share with you. If it were me sitting down with you, whether it's your real estate agent, whether it's the financing, whoever, I study this industry every single day, day in and day out. There's a lot of stuff that I could cover, and I'm going to discuss some alternatives and some options for you that you may not have thought about as potentially circumventing a little bit this extremely competitive marketplace. That segment's 1 and 2, and the segments 3 and 4, I'm going to talk a little bit about how do you prepare for a downturn in real estate. Someone might hear that and go, are you crazy? There's not going to be any downturn in real estate. Real estate's going to do nothing but go up and go north, and I would tell you that that's all fine and dandy if that's what you believe, but there will come a time, I don't know when it is, it could be this year, could be 2 years from now, could be 3 years from now. I, for one, am one of these people that think that I don't see a regression. I don't see a downturn in terms of huge amounts. I do see a flattening over the next year or so. When I mean by that, just a leveling, flattening, maybe some adjustments by 3 to 5%. I don't see any big swings in the way of downturns of 20, 30, 40% like we saw, in 08 and 09. But You don't know. So in the segments 3 and 4, I'm going to talk a little bit about how do you prepare for a downturn. Someone might say, well, I don't know. How do you prepare? You just wait for it just in case. No, there's some things you could do that I'm going to talk about to kind of not foolproof, but almost do an audit of your mortgage, your programs, your real estate. And I have some suggestions, some things to think about in terms of preparing for a downturn. All right. So let me talk a little bit about alternatives to an extremely competitive market for the buyers. If you're a buyer out there and you're frustrated and you feel like you're maxed out and you've had enough and you don't know where this is going to end, and it's the same story. It's like a broken record. Sorry, your offer wasn't accepted. Someone paid $100,000 over, $200,000 over. Someone paid all cash. Someone could close in 3 days. Someone had no contingencies. I mean, you hear it. If you're out there in a buyer's market, you're hearing all this stuff, and I hear it because I finance these people, so I'm hearing it every day. All right. So here are some things. Again, when I say alternatives and options, these aren't one of the things I really want to make sure I spell this out clearly. And what I mean is alternatives and options would be things, ideally, yeah, you'd want a single-family home, ideally, right? Great. I want a single-family home, Joe. I really want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I kind of want to be in the Santa Clara County, or I kind of want to be in this area or the zip code. So that's in a perfect world. What I'm going to discuss with you is if you can't be in the perfect world right now, if you can't be in the perfect world right now because of the market, what are some things you could do to put yourself in a place so that you could ride this out, but still yet get into a purchase, get into home ownership, start building equity, start getting that tax benefit. So here are some of the things. You could look at buying a condo. You could look at buying something downtown San Jose or an area where there's high-rise. There's high-rise condos going up in downtown San Jose. There's other alternatives like that. So let's talk about those for a little bit. So you want a single-family home. It's more competitive. I'm not saying the condo market's not competitive. That is too. What I'm saying is maybe, just maybe, what's the best alternative? To completely lose out and not get into the market for the next couple of years? Or what if you looked at phase 1, take a look at something different. Phase 1, maybe here's what I do. I can't get into single family. It's too darn competitive, but I could get into this nice high-rise condo in downtown San Jose. Yeah, it's not exactly what I want, but I could get into it. Yeah, it doesn't have a yard, but I could get into it. I could start building equity. I could start getting my tax benefits, and I could get into the game. See, my point for everybody out there is you got to get into the game. You can't play until you get into the game. You sit on the sidelines, and you're never going to play. How do you get in? You got to get in. And so you'll hear me say this a lot. I've said it for years. Just get in. Don't look for the perfect situation. In some cases, it's not going to happen. In many cases, in a market like this, you'll never find the perfect home. There's no such thing. Unless you have unlimited resources. If you're a person that's out there looking for a $5, $6, $7 million home, or even if it's $1.5 million and you could pay cash and you could wait, that's different. But not everybody's in that situation. So some of the things to look at: buy a condo. Look at some areas that you may not particularly. You might say, Joe, downtown San Jose, it's not really a place I want to be. I know that. I get that. But again, this is an alternative. This is an option to get into the game, start building your equity, and start building your tax benefits. Condominiums, high-rise, townhouse, some other options. These are for people that were stuck on and they really want a single-family home, right? So those are some things to think about. The other thing to think about, a lot of people don't consider this, and again, it's not ideal. Remember, these are options. How about a parent or a sibling or family member or someone that could partner with you and help you make a stronger offer? Let me explain it to you. Let's say you're in the market for a $1 million home and you're finding that you're losing out because you don't have a big enough down payment, or maybe you can't go non-contingent, or maybe there's some issues around you that you're losing out on the offer. Now, if you had a parent a sibling, a family member that agreed to go on the loan with you, and it gave you more buying power, or they put in money and you became a partnership, or they helped you with the down payment and it became a bigger down payment so you were less concerned about an appraisal contingency, this is another way to get into the property. Listen, do what you can to get in, and then you could do some things once you, I've seen people do this before. Think about this seriously. I want people to keep this in mind. Find a family member, a parent, a sibling, someone that's willing to do this. I'm not saying everybody is, but they might. Gives you more buying power, gives you more options. Have them go on the loan with you. Make the purchase. Come up with whatever agreement you want to with this person that's going on with you. You have a stronger offer. Let's say you get the property. Everybody's excited. And then a year from now or 2 years from now, if that person wants to get off the loan or get out, you could just refinance and take them off title. There's a lot of different things you could do as an alternative. And these are just a couple that I'm suggesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first break, and I'm going to come back, and we're going to discuss a little bit more in the next segment about alternatives and options to this competitive market. What other things can you do? I'm going to continue to talk about that. If you have any questions, 1-800-516-1220, 1-800-516-1220. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I'll be back with you for segment 2 in just a couple of minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending, and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all 3 services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. We're with you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4. Thank you for tuning in, listening to us, whether you're on the radio, KDOW 1220 AM, or listening to us live online at KDOW.biz, or listening or watching, I should say, both on the live stream, Facebook. Thank you for checking in and tuning in. Love your feedback and your comments. We hope that we continue to give you value and information and education in the world of real estate. So the first couple segments I'm talking about is alternatives and options to this competitive marketplace we're in right now for the buyers. In the first segment, I talked about potentially, if you're losing out on offers, to look at condos, look at townhouses, look at maybe some of the downtown developments that might be a little easier to get into, a little less competitive right now. And again, I'll repeat, some people might listen to this and they say, Joe, it's not my deal. I don't want a condominium. I want a single-family home. I realize that. I think most people do. However, what I'm suggesting is instead of missing out on an opportunity altogether and getting into the game, if you can't get yourself in a single-family home and you're finding yourself just hitting your head against the wall and not getting in, get into a condo, get into something else. At least you get in and you start building equity and you start getting your tax benefits. And then guess what? A year from now, 2 years from now, sell that condo, take your $50,000, $60,000 equity or whatever the gain is, go buy your single-family home. Maybe the market changes. Maybe it's different. You can't execute any of these things. You can't make a difference unless you get into the property. So these are alternatives. The other thing I started talking about right before the first segment was over, and I think this is one that a lot of people forget about, is look at your parents, siblings, family members to potentially come on the loan with you and give you more buying power. If that gives you more buying power, and if by virtue of more buying power it gives you the option to get your offer accepted, again, these are things that you should be having conversations with your lender about, like me, right? Someone who finances, or your real estate agent, and your real estate agent then talks to the lender and finds out what's the best strategy for you guys. I mean, have you sat down? If you're continuing to lose out on offers, have you sat down with your real estate agent and your lender and said, listen, what's going on? Or do I have any other option here? Alternatives? Is there something you guys are doing? Is there something you guys can be doing? Or maybe you guys aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. I don't know. There could be a number of different reasons why you're losing out on an offer. So see if you could get a family member, a sibling, a parent to go on, give you more buying power. That's another option for you. If that could allow you the benefit of making a stronger offer, a non-contingent offer, then you get into your property. Deal number one, right? Check it off the box. It got into the property. And then maybe a year or so down the road, what you do is, depending on the agreement with the person, the family member or the parent that you got into contract with, then have them come off the loan or come off title or, negotiate all that, figure that out. These are ways to get creative into a market like this. My frustration with a lot of people in this business, and I'll say my business including, and the real estate business, is they don't have the ability to think out of the box. They don't have the ability to give you these different ideas and suggestions. And so you could be working with someone for 6 months or 8 months and be continually turned down and losing an offer. How do you know? How do you know? How do you really know that you're not getting that offer accepted because everything's not being done on your behalf? Do you really know if that's being done? Do you know that everybody's making their best effort? You think they are. You hope they are. This comes down to a lot of the stuff that you'll hear me talk about working with an educated partner or working with an educated team member or group of people that could really help you. If you're losing out on an offer and the only answer you're getting is, sorry, better luck next time, that's a red flag. It is. I don't care what anybody says. It's a red flag. If you're losing out on offers and your real estate agent or your lender is saying, oh, God, sorry, better luck next time, I'd say, wait a minute. You guys are the professionals. You guys are in this marketplace. You're the ones that are educated, right? You're the ones that are earning an income. Tell me, educate me, what other options do I have? And this is why I have this show. This is why I talk about stuff like this, is that 80% of the industry, at least, probably more, they don't really educate themselves to the extent that they could offer other options to you. They're very transactional, and they're not thinking out of the box. So again, if you're working with someone, both sides, lending or real estate, and you're losing out on offers, and they just say, sorry, better luck next time, I would say something like this. Well, tell me why I'm losing out on the offers. And if they say, well, you just didn't have a better offer, well, expand on that for me, please. What do you mean by that? Well, let's sit down and talk about this. So you're saying I'm losing out on an offer. Is it because I can't go non-contingent? Is it because I'm being outbid? Is it because we're not preparing an offer like it's supposed to? Is it because you're not going deeper in a relationship with that listing agent potentially that you could? Is it because the lender's not calling the listing agent once the offer is submitted and putting their best foot forward and talking you up as a buyer? That's right. That should be lending 101 for those out there. If you're working with someone and your lender is not on the ball, picking up the phone and calling the listing agent the minute that offer is submitted and saying, listen, Mr. and Mr. Smith, I've had them approved for 6 months. They're incredible, credit-worthy. great down payment. Just do what you need to do. I'm not saying that's going to push it over and make the offer get accepted, but there's a lot of things that you could do to give your offer a better chance. These are the things I'm talking about, alternatives. Make sure the real estate agent you're working with is doing these things. Make sure the lender you're working with is doing these things. Some of the other options would be a lease to own. Now, someone might be saying, Joe, that's crazy in a market like this because real estate's going up, up, up. I realize that, but I still see it. I do see it sometimes. I see some people that have great relationships with their landlord. I have one. I'm working with two right now. They have great relationships with their landlord. They've been there for 4 or 5 years, and the landlord's going, yeah, I might consider selling to you. Okay, what's that look like? Let's talk about it. Can we do it? Can you afford it? What's the price? What do you think? Can you get the financing? What are my options? Don't rule that out. Don't listen to people that say this can't be done. Don't listen to those that say, sorry, you lost out. Better luck next time. That's not good enough. Look for other ways to make that purchase happen. Again, I'm working with two people right now that are negotiating with their landlord. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but their landlord is at least acceptable to having the conversation. Both cases, the landlord's going, maybe I'm thinking about selling this place, and now might be the right time. Or maybe we could do a lease option. And for those that don't know about lease options, I have about a minute here before my next break, but those really where you get into a contract where you pay so much rent, right? And some of that rent, you might pay an escalated amount of rent. So maybe the market for that rent's $3,000, you pay $4,000, and that additional money is going to a potential down payment on a lease agreement where maybe in 2 or 3 years you end up purchasing that house for a certain given price. And some of that money used along the way is put towards the down payment. A lot of different strategies for that. All right, so a couple seconds here. We're going to take another break. When we do, I'm going to come back, and now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about how do you prepare for a downturn. How do you prepare for a downturn? Someone might be going, oh, my God, you're just talking about losing an offer, and now you're talking about a downturn. We're going to cover everything. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Stick with me. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Sadly, tragedies are part of our life. When faced with these tragedies, it's important that we rally together as a community to help those in need. Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live. As a way for our team here at Real Estate Radio Live to give back to our friends and neighbors affected by the tragic North Bay fires, we'll donate a percentage of every loan or every real estate transaction closed between October and December 2017 directly to the fire victims. Considering the average loan amount and real estate transaction amount, we are hoping to donate about $2,500 per transaction. So if you or anyone else you know is in the market to buy or sell, finance a purchase, or simply need a refinance, remember, we'll donate a percentage of our team's commission for each and every transaction. 100% of all the donations will go directly to the fire victims. For more information, please contact us at 408-838-9060 or go to RERadiolive.com.
Real estate broker Cal DRE 413-1002, NMLS 3233.
Hi, this is Joe Kuchera of Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We are your go-to resource for all aspects of real estate, including buying, selling, refinancing, building, and legal and tax advice, and much more. You can subscribe to Real Estate Radio Live podcast on iTunes and Stitcher to listen to an engaging discussion about anything and everything real estate. So make sure you get our app, RE Radio Live, in the iTunes store to follow the show. Hi, this is Joe Kuchera, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe at RERadiolive.com, or visit my website at RERadiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you those that are tuning in on the radio. Thank you those that are tuning in online at KDOW.biz. And thank you those that are tuning in via Facebook. There's several thousands of those, and we appreciate the views, the tune-ins, and the activity. It's much appreciated. Our objective and our goal is always the same for 7 years plus, and that is to provide you, the consumer, with education and information to help you make wise decisions around your real estate. That's it, period. The way we do that, how do we do that? We hope, great guests, good content, information, share that with you in hopes when you get ready to pull that trigger and make the decision, whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned home buyer or maybe a veteran that owns 50 properties, it doesn't matter. We hope that we could bring some value at some different aspects or components of the real estate world for you. All right, so this 2 segments, I'm going to talk a little bit how to prepare for a real estate downturn. It may sound a little funny because the first 2 segments, I did this by design, the first 2 segments I was talking about how to look at, or what do you do to look at alternatives and options in an extremely competitive market as a buyer when you're getting your offer and you can't get your offer accepted. So we go from a conversation about the market's so hot you can't get your offer accepted to now having a conversation about what do you do to prepare for a downturn. Well, these are all reality things. This is reality. This could happen. Just like interest rates could go up 0.5% overnight. People don't realize, because we've been in this, we've been in this territory for so many years where interest rates have stayed so low, they could jump up at any time. These things could happen. We're talking about great interest rates right now still, but, I could be on the radio this time next week, and we could be having a conversation about, can you believe what just happened? Interest rates just went up 0.5% in the last 7 days. That could happen. That's why you have to be prepared. Okay, so what do you do to prepare for a downturn? Someone might say, Joe, I hang on. I have my properties. I'm good to go. I understand downturns happen, and if they happen, they happen, and I'll write it out. Well, what I'm going to suggest is to do a bit of an audit, and it's not really, it's not hard work, and it doesn't take a lot, but just do what would be kind of a mortgage audit or a mortgage review on your properties or property, which if you have one or more than one. And that is, go through this kind of check right now. It's almost like this, 5-check program if you're getting your car checked and your oil and so on and so forth every once in a while. So how do you fend off or prepare for a downturn? Make sure you're in the right program. Make sure you're in the right program, number one. And what I mean by that is a lot of people default to a 30-year fixed. We could have another conversation another day about that. But I tell you what, I've been in this business for 20 years, and I have yet to see someone be excited and say, Joe, guess what? I just paid off my 30-year fixed. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that often. It doesn't mean stay away from the 30-year fixed. The 30-year fixed are great because you don't have to, the feeling is, it's a feeling of comfort and security. I get it. You don't have to worry about it. But do you realize 78% of people in the Bay Area, the greater Bay Area here, 78% of people change their loan, refinance, get out of that loan on an average of let's say 7 or 8 years. It's 7.2 years or something. Let's just call it 7 or 8 years. So again, 78% of the Bay Area residents, right, over the last 10, 12 years or so, 78%, almost 8 out of 10, will keep their loan for 8 years or less. That's right. And you might say, well, why? Well, a number of different reasons. You have refinance, rates come down, you refinance, take advantage of it. Maybe someone has to sell their home, or they do sell their home. They don't have to sell it, but they sell it. That's another reason to get out of the loan. Maybe they refinance and pull cash out. It's another reason. They refinance and pull cash out for student loans, for remodels, to buy another home, all kinds of different reasons. Unfortunately, things happen also in real life that they're sad and they're tragic, but they do happen. Divorces There's divorces that happen, and when that happens, a lot of times people will split, divide property, sell the house, or take one off title, refinance, and get the other person off title in the loan. That's real life. Death is a part of life, sadly. You see a lot of people, in situations, let's hope, mostly the elderly group might pass away, and now they're getting out of the loan, or they pass it on to the home to their children. A number of different things could happen there, but I just listed about 5 or 6 different reasons of why someone would refinance or get out of a loan in 8 years or less. So when you think about it, it's not that uncommon, and it's not that unusual to think about that. I talk to people all the time, and they say, Joe, that's not me. And what I want to say is, I'm going to mark my calendar today, and I'm going to say, not you. I'm going to put your name down, your email, and your phone number, and I'm going to be the one to call you when I see, for some reason, you're going to need to refinance. Now, I say that not laughing because if something happens negative. That's not why I'm chuckling and being sarcastic. I'm giggling a little bit because things happen. I mean, you might finally decide I want to do that remodel and pull a couple $100,000 out and add on. Or all of a sudden, the student debt's not getting paid off. You thought that your children were going to help you pay that student debt off, and it's in your name, and now you want to pay it off because you don't want it looming over your head for the next 10 or 15 years, so you take money to pay that off. Or you take some money out to buy your vacation home or a second home or a rental property. There's all kinds of different reasons. So, program. What program are you in? Are you in the right program just in case you have a downturn? Now, someone would say, well, Joe, that's another reason I want a 30-year fix. What if we have a big downturn? That's true. That's true. That's a good point. That would be a rebuttal for that. Joe, I want a 30-year fix because I want to fend off any type of issues. I don't care what the statistics tell me, and I completely agree. I understand when people feel that way. I really do. I'm just offering up some data and statistics that would support the other side of that story. So make sure you're in the right program. Make sure you have the right rate. The other big thing, too, is if you want to do something in the next couple of years, you've heard me say this before, you'll hear it a lot, do it now. And I don't mean this very moment, but seriously, if you think you can get a little better rate, or maybe you're not going to be in your house for a while and you're going to sell it in 5 years, you want to switch to a different program to save yourself some money, or maybe you want to do that remodel again, add on, or you want to pay off some debt. One of the big things right now I talk about a lot, and it may sound redundant, but if you have a home equity line looming, if you have exposed a home equity line out there, and be careful, because if this rate starts shooting up, that home equity line is going to go up like a skyrocket because that's tied to prime. So if they raise the prime 2, 3, 4% over the next year or so, guess what? That home equity line is not going to look as attractive as it looks today. So that's another reason to prepare. So if you have a home equity line, that might be something you want to fend off and take care of that sooner than later. And why, you might say, what's the reason for this? Well, one of the reasons you want to look at these things, ladies and gentlemen, for a potential downturn is, let's say your house right now is worth $1 million, and we are at a peak of a market. I mean, it could go higher, right? We don't know, but we're at a pretty good peak of a market right now. I think everybody would agree. Let's say your home is worth $1 million right now as we sit here today. Great. And you owe $300,000 on it. You're good shape, good to go. What if we get a downturn and that home now is worth $600,000 or $700,000? Someone might say, Joe, I'm still good. I only owe $300,000. Not a big deal. That's true for them. But what about the person that their home is worth $1 million right now and they owe $600,000 or $700,000 or $800,000 on it? They just put 20% down. They bought it for $1 million and they have an $800,000 loan on it. What about that person? What about if the market takes a 20 or 30% swing downward, and that's definitely affected, and now you're underwater? These are the kinds of things. Now, some things we just don't have control over. What you'll hear me talk about all the time is planning, forecasting, and then making some decisions around that. That's all you could do. You could plan, you could forecast, and make decisions. There's no guarantee that any of this stuff's going to happen. It's no different than putting a strategy together with your financial planner. You're planning for retirement. You're planning for a college education. It's no different. Just plan and look at the forecast, make your projections, kind of figure out what you want to do, and then make those decisions based on that. There's no perfect anything. If something happens, it happens, and you're going to have to do the best you can. I'm just suggesting that look at these things, sit down, and look at your mortgage, look at the program, look at your properties, and make sure you're not in a situation where if you did have a downturn, this is always a good litmus test. Make sure if you do have a downturn, go through the exercise. How that would affect you, if at all. If it doesn't affect you at all, then you might say, I'm good. I did the exercise, Joe, and I'm good. But if you're looking at a potential downturn, let's say it goes 20, 30% down, and it is going to affect you some way, you may want to take some opportunities to make some different adjustments now before it gets too late if this does happen. Again, if it does happen. It may never happen. These are all things you could do for planning the best you can. All right. We're going to take the last break. When I come back, I'm going to continue this and finish up. If you have any questions about the downturn, if you have any questions about buying, if you have any questions, maybe you need some advice, anything at all, give me a call, 1-800-516-1220, or you could text your message, 408-838-9060. Actually, I have two texts here I'll read when I get back. This is Joe Kuchera. I'll be back with you to finish up the show in just a couple minutes.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in ways that give consumers more control with more affordable options. So what are your options? Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to announce that there is now a more efficient and cost-effective way to buy and sell real estate. Our team at Real Estate Radio Live is launching a new program designed to help buyers or sellers like you in real estate, lending and title. That's right, we'll coordinate the entire transaction for you. So you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. We'll guarantee you'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts in real estate, lending, and title, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and benefit from changing the world of real estate. Call 408-838-9060. Go to RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live, streaming live on iHeart, TuneIn, and KDOW.biz. For more information on today's topic or guest, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. As we wind down the show, just 5 or 6 minutes left. So if there's anyone out there that wants to have two texts here, I'll read before I get off the air. Questions. If you have any of those and you want to call in, 1-800-516-1220. That's 1-800-516-1220. Love to hear from you. If you have any feedback, thoughts, questions, that's what we're here for, to help answer any of those questions. And if you want to text, 408-838-9060. So as I just finish up before I read these texts, just again to summarize, preparing for a downturn, make sure you have the right program, make sure you have the right interest rate, you're secured in where you want to be, and also make sure that if you're considering doing anything and using equity in your home, this is really the biggest piece I want you to think about. If by having the equity in your home decrease, if it won't affect you by having the equity in your home decrease by 20 to 40%, then you're fine. If, for instance, if you do an analysis and you think, boy, if my equity decreases, it drops 20 to 30%, I don't like that. I'll tell you what, defend against that. Maybe I should take that money out now that I wanted to do that remodel, or maybe I should take that money out now to pay off that debt, or maybe I should refinance and roll that first and second together. Because here's the other thing I'll say. Let's just say hypothetically you have a first and a second, and you're feeling good because you got good equity. Let's say you have a first of $500,000 and a second of $200,000, $700,000 of loans on your property, and your home's worth $1 million. Still fine, right? 30% equity, good. What happens if that equity drops 20, 30%? Let's say now your home is worth $700,000 or worth the same amount that you owe or less. Which again doesn't mean, right? It's fine. It doesn't mean you're going to get kicked out of your house or anything. But what if this happens? Okay. And what if that equity line second now is susceptible, which they all are, if they're most of the way they're set up, the HELOCs, that it will adjust, right? So anytime the prime goes up, that rate goes up, and that rate will continue going up. And you can't do anything about it. In other words, you can't refinance and roll that loan together anymore like I'm suggesting to do now because you don't have enough equity in the house to do it. This is probably the single biggest thing that I want to stress today about fending off or being careful for a downturn. Don't get stuck with an equity line second and you can't do anything with it because you don't have enough equity in it. That's where the trouble starts. And I'll tell you where it gets worse. If the downturn lasts for a couple of years and you run into a situation where now you not only have that first and second, and you have a second that's 7-8% interest only, but then it recasts because you've had it for 10 years. If you have those home equity lines for 10 years, what they do is at 10 years they recast, which means they reset, which means they go back to a 20-year amortized loan, fully amortized principal and interest payment, no more interest only. You could have a payment of $400 or $500 a month now that could go to $1,200 to $1,300 a month easily if that thing were to recast. And again, I don't say this to make you nervous or scare you. I'm saying this is a reality. That's the single biggest thing I'll finish up with on a downturn or projecting for a downturn. Make sure you're in a situation where you don't get stuck and you can't make a move because you didn't do something you should have done before a potential downturn. All right. Let me get to these texts. There's 2 texts I want to read real quick. Both of them, ironically, are kind of the same. George in Sunnyvale wants to know, do you have a recommendation for a good realtor, real estate agent? The one I'm working with just doesn't seem to understand the market. And as you mentioned, you're losing out on offers. And he says a little bit more. So, yes, George, I do. I'll text you. You can call me, of course. You have my number. You have my text. And I will recommend a good real estate agent for you in the Sunnyvale area. And then there's Lisa is in Los Gatos, and she's kind of the same. Her question is, I'm interviewing agents right now. I'm not quite sure. I'm a little confused of what I should be looking for as an expert in a certain market, or does it matter? She's talking about a specific location maybe. So, again, Lisa, thanks for the text. I will respond to that text after the show, and absolutely I have recommendations for realtors all around the Bay Area and some great realtors at that. We work with top-notch realtors, and they will do the best, very best job possible for you. So I will give you those recommendations after the show. Again, just a couple minutes left to wrap it up. We talked a little bit about alternatives in a market like this, super competitive. Don't be fooled by missing out on offers. There's other alternatives. Buy a condo, buy a townhouse, maybe buy something a little outside of your comfort zone, and then later on, sell that condo, sell that townhouse, and then get into the single family that you can. That's a strategy. That's making an alternative. That's kind of like option 2, right? Plan B, plan C. Be up for that. Be open to that, and understand that there are other options out there. And then lastly, real quick, again, if you're preparing for a downturn, really look at that first and second. If you have a home equity line, if you plan to pay it off or pay it down on a short-term fire, that's fine. All right, we're going to cut out. We ran out of space, or I should say time. We have all kinds of space here. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. Thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow, be sure to tune in again with the same time, 3 o'clock Pacific Daylight Time. Until then, have a great afternoon. Take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Tune in, log in, download our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com. RERadiolive.com.